honor to the red, white and blue of France, the tricolour, that he's waved proudly as a great ambassador to the country all around the world. He's a spokesman for motor racing. He's just become the president of the Grand Prix Drivers Association that fell asleep for many years and now has been brought back to life. Alain Prost is going to be that man as president. Nelson Piquet, you had a brief shot of there, who's in second position.
Prost, of course, he's the current world champion. The year before, he won the world championship in '85, lost it by a single point in '84, and in '83, lost it by a half a point. So Prost, the first French world champion ever, has certainly come and gotten his just deserved the past two seasons in '85 and '86. Also, Jackie, the young Lions who have moved around to new teams are doing very well here. We have Stefan Johansson with the McLaren, his first running, he's in the points. Berger with the Ferrari, he's in the points. And Boutsen from Belgium in the Benetton team, he's in the points. So the second generation young Lions in their new situations have certainly taken advantage of the team changes and have shown up very well here in the Grand Prix of Brazil. It takes a little while to get used to a new team. I'm surprised that we have that many new drivers and new teams in the first six.
Well, this is the first race, and a lot of things are going to happen. Alain Prost still leads. Nelson Piquet still in second place. In third place is Stefan Johansson, which of course is very good. And then in fourth place is Alboreto, with Berger in the other Ferrari in fifth place. Terry Boutsen with the Benetton is in sixth place. Nigel Mansell is still in seventh. Nakajima is still in eighth. Christian Danner is up to ninth. Jonathan Palmer is 10th. Philip Streff now is in 11th position. So there are constant changes down the field, but it does seem that Prost is holding himself more than 30 seconds in advantage over Piquet as he gets into a Ferrari sandwich right there.
Ferrari sandwich is always a bit of a spicy one, Jackie. No matter what happens, there's a great deal of competition between Ferrari drivers. Prost pulls out. Alboreto says, no, Alain, you're too far in the lead. I don't like to be lapped more than once in a race. Alain Prost doesn't really need to challenge these people. He has to be very careful of back markers, if you can call the Ferrari people back markers here. But Alain Prost now just trying to keep it as smooth as possible. The concentration at this point in the race can even be more difficult than when you're going for a new track record. He cannot let himself relax too much. He has to be still very aware of his car and everyone around him as that aerial is right in the middle of his sight. He does go around. No, he is Alboreto. Do you know who's next to you there? Please. The other Ferrari comes through on the inside of Gerhard Berger. And Alain Prost is taking it extremely easy in these last 4 laps. You don't think he could have a problem, Jackie. What about fuel?
No, I think he, in fact, did not expect the Ferrari to come inside him there. These Ferraris, incidentally, are not in the same lap. In fact, Alboreto is a lap ahead of Berger at this time, so that is not a big concern. Berger would like to unlap himself, obviously, but I think in the spirit of Italian prestige, Alain Prost wants to stay well out of it, just in case he gets involved in a situation that he can avoid. Right now it's Alboreto who's leading this little number here, and he's still behind Alboreto. Berger is still behind Alboreto, so he's still a lap down on him. He would like to unlap himself, surely. Look at that. Oh, something's happened.
Alboreto's car.
Now there's Prost staying well out of this. He's going to have to watch it. Careful, Alan. He could get involved in something that is no part of his, and that is a major issue. Prost is just staying away. He's now recognizing he's got to get past, but he doesn't want anything to fly off of that Ferrari if there is a suspension damage, and it did seem peculiar that there were so many sparks came out of that car. It doesn't look as if there's a flat tire. Normally, with about 14 pounds of pressure in those tires, if a flat tire comes in, sometimes, of course, those sparks can come out of the car because the car's dropped. And it may be a tire that's gone down, but he hasn't chosen to come into the pits. He's continuing around the racetrack, so he must feel reasonably comfortable. But Berger is now unlapping himself. He's unlapped himself from Alboreto. And Alboreto's car is still touching the ground constantly as he goes along the pit straight.
You see those sparks coming up in the beginning of the race because of the extra weight of the fuel and the titanium skid plates underneath the bodywork will drag along the bottom of the car onto the track over the bumpy parts of the circuit. But Alboreto now, there was just a huge flash of sparks. There must be a mechanical problem to cause that type of situation. But he's still out there. He's still going around a little bit more slowly.
Well, in all of that excitement, we did not tell you it's only 2 laps to go in this Grand Prix of Brazil. Alain Prost is going for his 26th Grand Prix victory, which will put him above everyone else, including Jim Clark and Fangio, and he's only got a couple more to better my 27. So Alain Prost has driven a masterful race, very smoothly, very intelligently. McLaren and the Tag Porsche engine can count themselves very fortunate indeed to be so well organized this early in the season with a new car. That shows the kind of dedication. It is big money. There's probably $15 million in their racing program for 1987, and that's no small money when you consider that a kart IndyCar program might be costing about $5.5 million with the most expensive team. Here is another $10 million on top of that. But technologically, it's so far advanced. Alain Prost crossing the start-finishing line one more time.
Our Olivetti computer says 59 laps, but that is always 1 or possibly 2 laps behind. We were thinking that there was a possibility of him actually taking the checkered on that lap, but here in Brazil, they are definitely giving him
1 lap. I think he's going to get the checkered flag on the next lap around. I think you're going to see this checkered flag coming out. The man is standing in front of the barrier. We can see that. Alboreto, incidentally, did not come round. We talked about his car bottoming out.
You just saw it parked there on the side of the circuit.
And he has stopped. Sad one for Alboreto because he was well placed. He was up into 5th position, so that brings Boutsen up into 5th. And now Alain Prost continuing down the main straight. Alain Prost finding his way around to get this checkered flag. He passes our commentary position. He has half a lap to go as he goes round the long right-hander in 4th gear, steadily in 4th gear. He won't bother passing those slower cars. Oh, he goes over the curb. Naughty Alain. In this last lap, he mounts the curb, probably a little bit thinking of other things. Very slow car coming into the pits is Eddie Cheevers in the Arrow. An engine looks as if it may have blown very close to the end. And look at this little wrestle in front of Prost.
Nakajima doesn't want to give up on the last lap.
He's just Prost looking ahead and saying, we've got to stay out of trouble. He's only got a few hundred yards to go right now as he comes up behind the Brabham. Alain Prost of France. 200 yards, 100 yards, and the checkered flag goes out to Alain Prost as he crosses the finishing line to win his 26th Grand Prix victory for France, for Alain Prost, for Marlboro McLaren, a very happy man. Wonderful performance by Alain Prost. Nelson Piquet and the press and everybody are crossing the racetrack without this race being finished. There's a lot of people right on the racetrack right now. Nelson Piquet has still not come in. Neither, of course, has any of the other finishers. We're waiting for Piquet as he comes round the final corner. Alain Prost waving to the crowd. Alain Prost is waiting. And now there is Nelson Piquet taking the checkered flag, and the Brazilian crowd go mad. They're waving their flags in their arms and they're clapping.
Nice shot of Nelson Piquet there. Well, he did the second best thing he could have done today, finishing second. But also, coming across right now, Stefan Johansson, his first time in the McLaren, coming in 3rd. So the first 3, Prost, Piquet, Johansson. Jerry Garrett has Crichton Brown of the McLaren team in the pits.
Well, Crichton Brown being congratulated by Joe Ramirez, the team manager. Crichton, you fellows have certainly done your homework over the winter. It's obvious from this race.
Well, we're very happy to have got both cars home so well up the field and for Alan to have won yet another Grand Prix, and I just hope that this is going to be perhaps the pattern for the rest of the year.
It's been so calm, cool, collected, everybody doing their job, just like a perfectly choreographed dance, as we said earlier.
Well, it's the only way you win in motor racing is to keep you cool and try and keep the job on the, going along the way it should be.
Did you set up with the idea that the race is the important thing, that the qualifying is not that important in this race?
This is the consistent strategy which we've followed for the last 4 years, and I just think this proves perhaps that it's the right strategy.
Certainly does. Thank you, Crichton, and congratulations.
Well, there you hear a very cool, calm and collected Brit. The British mentality not to get excited, as of course that team get first and third place.
Crichton Brown also has the largest pig farm in Brazil, Jackie Stewart. So, yes, he is a Brit, but he spends most of his time outside of England.
Look at those photographers right in the middle of the track as Alain Prost comes in from our helicopter shot here. Let me run down the top 10 for you. Alain Prost wins the Grand Prix of Brazil. Nelson Piquet is second. Stefan Johansson and the other Marlboro McLaren is third. Berger in the Ferrari, his first race from Ferrari, finishes in fourth position. Remember, Alboreto dropped out with about 2 laps to go. Terry Boutsen with a Ford engine Benetton car picks up World Championship points, 2 of them for finishing 5th. Nigel Mansell, he finishes 6th. Alboreto officially, we think, finishes 7th, although out of the World Championships points. Nakajima is 8th. Jonathan Palmer, Christian Danner is 9th, and Jonathan Palmer is 10th, as Nelson Piquet drives slowly in to the pit area, and he's coming in to take this second place. Stefan Johansson's behind him. Tremendously excited crowd here in Brazil. We'll come back to you with more information after this.
When the Brazilian Grand Prix is over and we get a checkered flag, we'll be switching to Bristol, Tennessee for the conclusion of that rain-delayed NASCAR Winston Cup Valleydale 500. So stay tuned. Right after the Brazilian Grand Prix, we'll be going back to Bristol for NASCAR racing.
The Grand Prix of Brazil is over. The crowd are gathering in front of the podium, expecting to see the winners. The first, second and third drivers come up there as we look down from our helicopter. And what a race it was. So many lead changes, a real tortoise and a hare race, John.
Jackie, it was a very quick race there. You see Nelson Piquet taking a little sip of water, the Brazilian here. The crowd certainly wants to see him. Question is, the Williams was very fast, but maybe were they too fast? So many pit stops, it really cost him the race. New drivers doing very well in their new teams. 3 new driver combinations in the first 6, and Alain Prost still on the top, still with McLaren. His victory here in Brazil shows that McLaren is still the force in Formula One through the race distance.
Well, Mansell Roger, the man who owns McLaren right now, he's down here and he must be a happy man, first and third. Let's look at the top 10 here. We'll give you the top 6 showing, and that is fact. Alain Prost winning the Grand Prix of Brazil. Nelson Piquet of Brazil finishing second. Stefan Johansson driving the Marlboro McLaren from Sweden is third. Fourth is Gerhard Berger from Austria driving a Ferrari. Fifth is Terry Boutsen driving the Ford-engined Benetton car in the World Championship points. Also Nigel Mansell from Britain picking up 1 championship point. Then Nakajima comes 7th. Alboreto finished 8th. 9th was Christian Danner of Germany. 10th, Dr. Jonathan Palmer from Britain. Philip Streff was 11th in a normally aspirated engine, as also was Palmer's. The Data General Tyrrells finishing 10th and 11th. And then Fabra was 12th. Frank Williams came to see his cars win. It's almost just over a year since Frank Williams had his accident, which paralyzed him almost totally. He's a brave man. He's come to this particular race. He saw his car finishing second. So the Grand Prix of Brazil has been brought to you by BF Goodrich TA Radios. They make your car perform. By Mobil One Synthetic Motor Oil. Mobil One protects your engine better than any conventional motor oil. And by Acura Legend and Integra, precision crafted automobiles, exclusively at your Acura dealer. This is Jackie Stewart along with John Bisignano and Jerry down the pits. Jerry, thank you for the wonderful work that you did with us today. You got all of the information here in ESPN. We've brought you the first of this World Championship Series that will take us all the way around the world. Our next Grand Prix coverage will come from Imola, the Grand Prix of San Marino on the 3rd of April. Alain Prost holds high a rather crude trophy from the Grand Prix of Brazil. We're happy to be with you, John Bisignano and I, along with Jerry Garrett. Keep tuning to ESPN for continuing coverage of Grand Prix Motorsport. Goodbye from Brazil.